Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. I am Jon. I'm here with Bridget. Bridget, thought Jason was going to be doing this week's episode of the Mavpuckcast with me, but Jason got the plague last week before the St. Cloud series, and he missed coming to those games at Baxter. He had to watch those at home.
Yeah, we hope that he feels better. He said that he was, but that he didn't sound great. And as we all know, you need great audio for your Mavpuckcasts.
That's right. We have incredibly high production value standards here at the Mavpuckcast. Yeah, Jolene said he didn't sound good at all. It's too bad because I am always interested and always look forward to hearing his perspective on each week's episode. As you know, I spend a lot of time editing these, so fingers crossed that next week he is on the episode. We got a lot of fun things to talk about. We've got that St. Cloud series, that sweep at Baxter Arena to talk about. Very exciting series. We've got some things you missed at Baxter Arena to talk about. And we've got a look at that upcoming road trip to Denver, Colorado to take on the DU Pioneers that we're going to take a look at. That should be very exciting. But before we get to all of that, we'd like to thank our founding members for their support of the Mavpuckcast this season. As I am talking to you, you are seeing a scroll of the names of those who have donated to the Mavpuckcast this season. You will also see that list at the end of this episode and at the end of every episode of the Mavpuckcast this season. And if you would like to support our efforts here at the Mavpuckcast and at mavpuck.com, be sure to visit mavpuck.com/donate. We just had somebody new donate this last weekend at the St. Cloud series. Dan Grace came up to me and gave me $18. So he is the newest entrant on the scroll this week, Bridge.
I love it.
Always nice to have people mention how much they enjoy the podcast and help us out here, because it's a lot of work, takes a lot of effort, so helps to defray some of our costs. So we really appreciate that. But we've got to turn to that St. Cloud series, UNO's third conference series of the 2025 calendar year. Big one coming in, very entertaining series up at St. Cloud, Minnesota. In the first half of the season against St. Cloud State, we split that series against the Huskies. So we knew it was going to be an exciting action-packed series coming into Baxter Arena. First period, Friday night. It was scoreless through the first period, Bridge. It was 0-0 after one.
Yep. Lots of chances both ways, but no scoring, no biscuits in the basket.
That's right. So we go to that second period on Friday night. 6:50 into the second, Zach Erdahl puts UNO up 1-0. Assist to Mitchell, and Stang was a 2-on-1 opportunity in transition. Mitchell flipped the puck up to center ice to make that sequence of events happen. Good position for UNO to get the first goal of the game, Bridge.
Yep, you can just call him Can Mitchell because he can make stuff happen.
He is getting it done this season. But 11:55 into the second, so about midway through that second period and halfway through roughly of the game, St. Cloud's Austin Bernavec ties it up on the power play. Opportunity came off a rebound in front of the net. So it's tied 1-1. Austin Bernavec was one of our players to watch on last week's episode of the Mavpuckcast, a very talented young forward for St. Cloud State. So we're excited to see how he does the next couple of years in conference play. 17:53 into the second, Cam Mitchell puts UNO up 2-1. The shot deflected off a Husky and arced over Enright into the net. Kind of one of those funky goals, but great to get that 2-1 lead late in that second period, Bridge.
Yeah, sometimes those are the kinds of goals that go against you, and it just worked out in our favor. Great position to be in late in the second period. Great to see Cam Mitchell again back in the lineup for the Mavs.
Yeah, and we were hoping that they would hold that 1-goal lead going into the third period, but with 1 minute left in the second, St. Cloud's Werner Miettinen ties it up as the team skate 4-on-4. Mavs had trouble getting the puck out of their defensive zone on that play. So Werner puts it in. Not the kind of goal that Simon normally gives up, but game is tied 2-2 after 2. Tell you what, this game was back and forth. 3:25 into the third period. Grant Ashan puts SCSU up 3-2. It deflected in. It looked like it went in off of Gavin's skate bridge.
Yeah, the way he reacted, that was my impression too. I haven't gone back to watch like a slow motion version of it, but it certainly looked like he may have banked it in off of Gavin. And gosh, what a killer for the Mavs. You know, they're playing so hard and making good things happen. And then, like we were just talking about, sometimes luck favors you and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, put the puck on net. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, that was interesting. I watched the play. I watched the highlight clips from the CBS Sports broadcast of the game, and it was hard to tell. It kind of caromed off the posts. I think it went off Gavin's skate. I don't know if that was just body language on his part, but that's what we thought sitting up in the stands. So 3-2 St. Cloud State. So they've got the early lead. But 6:28 into the third, Brady Risk ties it up on the power play. As I mentioned, Bridge, a back and forth game.
Well, it was a really timely power play goal. I know we've talked a lot about special teams with the Mavs this season, and they've had some struggles on the power play. So it was great to see Risk put the puck into the net and give the Mavs that tie opportunity so that we would put ourselves in a position for good things to happen.
And then 9:46 into that third period, Jimmy Glenn puts UNO up 4-3. Lurie passes it to Glenn. Lurie was behind the goal line when he did that. Glenn fires it in from the slot. 4-3 UNO. Great to have the lead about midway through that third period. And then late in the third period, 17:02 into the third, Tyler Rollwagon puts UNO up 5-3 on the power play. It was a tic-tac-toe play. Rollwagon fires it in from the slot. Pretty goal for UNO, and that was a big key, getting that 2-goal lead there late in that third period to thwart any chance for St. Cloud State to tie it up.
Well, St. Cloud certainly was throwing everything that they could at us at that point, and pulled the goalie with, probably about 2 minutes to go. Just really good hustle on the part of all of our players, keeping that 2-goal lead late into the third.
Yep. And then 18:56 into the third, Erdahl gets an empty netter, shoots that thing 200 feet to net it at the end of the game. And the Mavs go on to win the Friday contest 6-3. Great start in the series for UNO. You know, going undefeated in that Colorado College and Miami series to start the second half of NCHC play was big, but great to get that Friday win against St. Cloud State. And then we're going into the Saturday night game. Had no idea what to expect in this game, but it was a little bit closer than that Friday night game. Freshman netminder James Gray was in net for St. Cloud State. The last time he started was when UNO played up in St. Cloud last December. Once again, Bridge, the game was scoreless after the first period.
Yeah, again, I say it a lot, but same song, second verse. Really close game in the first period. Lots of chances for both teams, but both Gray and Lacosi were equal to the task. So we went into the second period scoreless.
Yeah, and it was a lively second period as well. 1:30 into the second, Harrison Israels puts UNO up 1-0. He was set up by Brady Risk on that play. Great position to be in. But about midway through the period, 9:57 into the second, Jack Ryman ties it up for St. Cloud State. So you're thinking, here we go again. This back and forth contest between two teams that felt fairly evenly matched during the course of the festivities this weekend. But 13:46 into the second, Chase LaPinta puts UNO up 2-1. A terrific pass to set him up on that goal too. So UNO is leading 2-1 after 2.
Yeah, again, just really good hustle on the part of the forwards on that play and making things happen. And like we've talked about, you got to be in the right spot at the right time. And Chase LaPinta certainly was.
Yeah, so we thought it was going to be a barn burner going into the third, and certainly it was an entertaining period. There were a number of opportunities for both teams. I thought St. Cloud really played very well during that period, and I thought that they were going to get the equalizer during that period. Certainly, they had some opportunities, and in particular, they had some opportunities in the closing minutes of play in that third period. Ultimately, was not to be for the Huskies. Staying adds an empty net goal in the closing moments. Mavs go on to win the game 3-1. Very exciting series for UNO. And how crazy is it that Erdahl and Stang get empty net goals on sequential nights? Both players from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. They played together back in high school. So reunited this season. Both had committed to play for Wisconsin. Both ended up transferring to UNO, and both had been recruited by UNO back when they were in high school. So kind of neat that both of them put the capper on the scoring in those games this weekend.
Yeah, and again, we were at the game, so I didn't see this when we were there, but I went back and watched, and they had a nice interview with Sam Stang during the intermission, and they were talking about, how they ended up back in Omaha. It sounds like the moms had something to do with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we know how important these hockey moms and hockey dads are to these players. So that is very cool. I'm glad that they both are having an opportunity here to play together at the end of their collegiate careers. A couple of series notes here. UNO won 3 of 4 games against the Huskies this season. So that's really good when you've got home and home series against a team like St. Cloud State to get that many wins and that many points against the Huskies. UNO has won all 6 of its conference games since the first of the year in this 2025 calendar year, earning 18 critical conference points, and that puts UNO currently in second place in the NCHC. So we're going to talk about the standings in a little bit, but big sweep for UNO at Baxter Arena. Lots of great performances, and I've got to ask you, Bridge, who is your player of the week? Who did you like for this NCHC series against St. Cloud State?
As with our last series, there's a lot of players to choose from. There were 8 Mavs who scored on the weekend, and just, goals and assists everywhere. So there was, a lot of goal scorers to choose from. But I got to go with goaltender Simon Licozzi. He had a great weekend. I have some notes about his performance too. So Simon recorded his 40th and 41st career victories as a Maverick this last weekend. He had 38 saves in Saturday's win. He has wins in his last 5 starts and is 11-9 on the season. And he's on the Mike Richter Award watch list. And just before we started taping this, we saw that he received KJ Branding NCHC Goaltender of the Week honors for the 3rd time this season, which ties him with Cameron Rowe from Western Michigan. So Simon had a great weekend and just continues to be stellar in goal with those cat-like reflexes.
Yeah, we take Simon for granted a lot of times. We could pick him a lot during the season, and oftentimes we don't. We focus a lot on the forwards. We focus a lot on the skaters. So, great weekend for Simon Licozzi. This is his time of year. Last season, this was when he turned things up a notch and got it done and really helped UNO to a late season run in the NCHC and an NCHC playoff run to get to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off and the NCAA tournament. So we will see what the next few weeks have in store for this team. And there were a lot of guys I could have picked, a lot of obvious players, but I've got to go with junior forward Tyler Rollwagon. He got that critical 5th goal on Friday night, and I think that was key. If that had been a 1-goal lead for UNO, you just don't know what would have happened. Might have gone the other way for UNO if he hadn't gotten that goal, and I thought it was critical, and I thought it was important. And when you look back at the previous weekend series against Miami, he had a great series out in Oxford, Ohio against the Red Hawks. The stat sheet might not have shown it, but he was really good at badgering some of those skaters on the Red Hawks and thwarting their opportunities to move it up the ice.
Yeah, just a real grinder mentality, taking care of the little details that really matter, especially with the Mavs playing so many close games this season.
Yeah, got a great attitude. A guy who plays with a lot of heart. He has 3 goals and 8 assists this season. Excited to see what's in store for him down the stretch. But a lot of great performances this weekend, Bridge.
Yeah, we could have picked Sam Stang. He had a goal and 3 assists. He's 10, 10, and 20 on the season. So again, good point producer. You got to talk about who Jason's player was going to be. He was trying to influence our nominations.
Well, Jason, typically during seasons, he likes to pick those guys who are kind of out of left field a little bit. And this season, he's been picking guys who are a little bit more obvious. So I've been a little thrown off, but he told us via text he was going to pick defenseman Marcus Broberg this weekend, who had an assist. So I would have loved to have heard Jason's full bore explanation of what he liked about Marcus Broberg, but we're not.
He's not here.
He's not here. Not going to get to hear that.
But again, lots of great players. Israel's Risk, again, love to see those two connecting and really getting on the score sheet. Like I said earlier, great to have Cam Mitchell back in the lineup. Charlie Lurie with a couple of great passes to set things up. Again, it's definitely a scoring by committee approach, especially these recent couple of games, but it's working. And I think it makes it harder for our opponents to key in on, 1 or 2 guys. It really opens up a lot of ice for these other guys.
Right. And you look at Tanner Ludke going down early in the season. I know big things were expected from him this season, and it's really been nice to see the other forwards on our roster step up this season. And I think in many respects, it really has emphasized that scoring by committee philosophy that this coaching staff seems to have, whether it's intended or not. That seems to be the strategy with UNO the past few seasons. And so it's nice to have seen these guys that we weren't sure we were going to get to see a lot of this season stepping it up. So we've got to talk about some things you missed at Baxter Arena. And, this season, there haven't been as many fun and exciting things. It's been kind of, being like scraping the barrel to come up with stuff. But there were 2 fun theme nights this last weekend against St. Cloud State. Friday was Paradise Night. I'll tell you what, some of the fans were wearing tropical gear for the game. Not very many, but I'll tell you what, the students were decked out nicely in tropical gear, Bridge.
Yeah, great job by Bill Pickett and the Spirit and Tradition staff. They outfitted the students with some really nice tropical shirts. And I didn't see a ton of participation from fans in their, lifeguard and beach wear. I had a lay on, so, I did that. But you and Jason had to, be participating with your gray sweatshirts, regardless of what the theme was. Him from home, you at Baxter. So, like I said, the theme nights are fun. Way to get, again, especially the students involved. I think the student attendance this weekend was the largest number of students we've had at either game for the whole season. So I think the students like these theme nights too.
Saturday was UNO's first ever attempt at a stripe out. They had black and white rally towels on the corresponding sections. So if you were sitting in a white section, you got a white rally towel, and a black section, you got a black rally towel. The students section was black, so the students were decked out very well in black. I've got to tell you, over the years, we've tried to do these like whiteouts and blackouts, and it's a struggle. It's been probably 15 years since you and I have gone to a Creighton basketball game, but I feel like I know every season when they're doing their annual pink out game, when they're attempting something like a stripe out game, I feel like I know that, and I see it a lot. And as big of a UNO fan is, a lot of times I feel like these things fly under the radar, and it's so hard to get people to participate. And I think part of the reason why, quite honestly, is that there's just a lot of people in that building who are not wearing UNO gear.
Don't get me started on that. I have a whole separate rant on that. But I did think one thing that really worked was the rally towels on the seats. So when they've tried to do the stripe out in the past, they had done white t-shirts at one point, and that worked somewhat. But if you're wearing a sweatshirt or a jersey, it's hard to put a white shirt over that. And I know in the past I haven't wanted to take off what I was wearing because sometimes it gets cold in there, and put on a white shirt. But I really thought especially the white rally towels were very effective. The black ones against the black seats were a little bit difficult, but you and I took a couple of separate videos, and when people were waving them around, whether they were black or white or both, it was really noticeable. And so props to Derek Shepard in the UNO ticket office. He said on Twitter that that was an idea that I think he had in July that he came up with in a staff meeting. And the execution of it, I thought was, 9 out of 10. Like I said, maybe a gray towel, maybe a red towel. I don't know. The black, like I said, just kind of blended in a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I think I've got my towels around here somewhere. So we got to take some home as souvenirs as well, because there was quite a fan exchange that went on in the lobby at the post-game celebration on Saturday night, so that folks went home with towels of both colors.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, the fans were really good at waving the towels when they were keyed by the video board to do that. So that was great. So they definitely should try the rally towel thing again. Over the years, UNO has had success with rally towel giveaways at games. And I think, look, it's the first attempt at a stripe out. So I think they should continue doing this, continue trying it. Maybe you try black and red instead of black and white, although black and white does look cool because white really stands out against those dark seats. But one of those things, just kind of make it sort of the same weekend every year and start promoting it early in the season so people have time to go and get the appropriate merchandise if they don't have it. Because unlike like Creighton basketball or Husker football, you can't just go to, half a dozen different stores here in the Omaha metro area and find UNO gear. So you kind of have to plan for that. But I think they should try it again, because I think these things are cool when I see other local teams like Creighton and the Huskers doing it. So just keep it going, keep trying UNO, don't give up. But Bridget, got to talk about the NCHC standings. Omaha, as I mentioned before, is in second place in the NCHC currently. Western Michigan is in first place with 30 points. We're in second with 29. Now, we've played 14 conference games this season, and the Broncos have played 12, so they have 2 games in hand. So they have more opportunities to gain points here down the stretch. Arizona State is nipping at our heels in third place with 28. And then Denver, our upcoming opponent this week, is in fourth place with 20 points. Like Western, they have played 12 conference games. So again, they have more opportunities to earn points here down the stretch. But it's a very exciting race in the NCHC. A bit of a surprise at this point. If you told me that Colorado College and St. Cloud were going to be in the bottom half of the conference and that St. Cloud State was going to be in 8th place, I would have been surprised at this point of the season to hear that, and to hear that UNO was in second place. But here we are.
Well, and the Mavs have taken care of business when they needed to. Again, you want to beat the teams that are below you in the standings. Another common refrain is to sweep at home and split on the road. And like you talked about with our St. Cloud series, we did that, split up there and then swept them at home. But we're coming into the meat of the NCHC conference and taking on, Denver and playing Arizona State later in the season, and another series at Western. It's going to be tough. But I like where we're at right now. Again, to be in second place at this point in the season is great. Let's keep the momentum going.
Yeah, that's always the key in conference play. Win the games that you can win, get the points that you can get. Don't be regretting, losing a series to Miami down the stretch. So UNO has taken care of business against the teams that they should have taken care of. And as you mentioned, they've had success against those teams in the bottom half. Of our 29 conference points so far, 26 out of a possible 30 have come against teams in the bottom half, against the top half teams in the conference. And we haven't had a lot of series against those top half teams. That's coming up. Omaha has gotten 3 points out of a possible 12. The lone win was against Arizona State out there in Tempe last fall. So yeah, we've only played 2 series against the other teams that are currently in the top half. And as I mentioned, there are some teams that have played fewer games. So 3 teams, Western, DU, and UND, have 2 games in hand on everybody else in the conference. So they have more opportunities to get points, but it's an exciting time for UNO. They've done what they needed to do to start off this NCHC grind here in January. So great position to be in. But I'll tell you, Bridge, this is where it gets exciting. This is where the rubber meets the road. The first test comes this upcoming weekend, January 31st and February 1st, out in the Mile High City to take on the DU Pioneers. Denver is 18-6 overall. They split last weekend with Minnesota Duluth. That Duluth team, very young team, is surprising some people here in the second half. So it looks like maybe Sandelin's got them going. DU is led by David Carl, who was born in 1989, Bridge. Just thought you might want to know that.
He also just had his 250th game as a head coach too. So he's making the most of his time.
He is. Carl is 166, 68, and 16 in 7 seasons at Denver. He was also the head coach of the U.S. national junior team again this year, Bridge.
It was kind of interesting because they don't seem to miss a beat when he's off coaching at World Juniors. So I think he's got a great staff, former Maverick goalie on that staff as well. And like I said, it's going to be a tough test out there. You and I were out in Denver last year for that series with the weird ice situation where the game was delayed from Saturday night into Sunday, which I think really helped the Mavs, but it's going to be tough. They've got a tough opponent in front of them with a lot of goal scorers.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a talented coaching staff on that team. Two assistants there, Tavis McMillan and Dallas Ferguson, both coached together at Alaska Fairbanks and were both head coaches there. Both very talented individuals, great hockey minds. And you mentioned Ryan Massa's out there as a coach. So Ryan Massa, the guy who led UNO to the Frozen Four back in 2015, great to see him having success. Players to watch, Bridge. Lots of players to watch on Denver. So UNO's got to keep their eyes open. Senior forward Jack Devine leads the team in points with 5 goals and 28 assists. He's gotten at least 1 point in the last 5 games. Junior forward Aiden Thompson is second on the team in points with 13 goals and 17 assists. Senior forward Carter King is third on the team in points with 13 goals and 12 assists. Sophomore defenseman Zeev Buyam is fourth on the team in points with 5 goals and 20 assists. I missed that pairing during his freshman year. He got to play with his brother Shai Buyam. Sophomore defenseman Eric Pulkamp is sixth on the team in points, and he has tallied points in the last 4 games, Bridge. And in nets, we think it's going to be senior goaltender Matt Davis, who has appeared in 22 games this season and has a 1.91 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. But sophomore goaltender Freddie Halleck appeared in a game at Duluth last weekend, and he has a 2.25 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. So Lots of talent on that team, lots of depth. Is there anybody you're keeping an eye on, Bridge?
Well, definitely all of the above. The stat that really stood out to me from Denver is they're averaging 3.8 goals scored a game while limiting their opponents to 2 goals. And we're scoring an average of 2.9 goals while keeping our opponents to 2.2 goals a game. So they're a high scoring offense that doesn't let in a lot of opponent goals. So it's going to be a battle for sure.
Yeah, it is. And you look at where Denver is right now, fourth place in the standings. They're 7-5 in conference play. They have a way of turning it on at the right time. And I know some fans have been like, oh, we're getting Denver at the right time. And I think part of that might have to do with how they performed in that exhibition against UNLV earlier in the season. But don't underestimate this team and don't underestimate their ability to turn it on and get it going at the right time. A lot of talented skaters, and UNO has had their struggles against this Denver team over the past decade or so. So it will be very interesting to see how they do. Bridge, what's your prediction for this series out in Denver? Do you think we'll get swept? Do you think we'll split, or do you think we'll sweep the Pioneers?
Okay, I think we can take sweeping off of the table again. I love our Maverick team, but Denver is the defending national champion. So I think I'm going to take Omaha getting the sweep off the table. I think I'm also going to take off Omaha getting swept. Again, I really like where this team is right now. And like we talked about, getting some of those combos matching up, Risk and Israel's and Stang and Erdahl, getting them going, I think is a good thing. So I'm going to pick a Maverick split. I think we get the win on Friday night, and then Denver gets the win on Saturday. How about you?
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think UNO is going to split. I think we're going to get the win on Saturday night. Should be a very, very interesting series out there. So stay tuned. This is where we start to find out how good the team is here in the second half of the season. You were talking a little bit on the Facebook group today about where UNO stands as far as potential NCAA tournament at-large bids, things like that. In my opinion, it's still too early to be talking about that. I think we'll really want to look at that as we get down to about 2 regular season series left. But UNO going into last weekend against St. Cloud State was 38th in the pairwise rankings. They are now 35th. Realistically, when you look at the pairwise and there's no human element in there, it's all math, you really need to be about 13th. So UNO has got a lot of work to do. Some of those series that they lost early this season puts them in kind of a bind as far as the pairwise goes right now. So they've just got to keep running the tables and seeing what they can do against this competition, Bridge.
Yeah, and Denver's currently ranked 5th in most of the major polls. And again, the polls have nothing to do at all with the pairwise. But if you can take down some of those, top 10 teams, it's going to help you move up in the pairwise, which is ultimately, like you said, the goal is 13, maybe 14 at the lowest at the end of the regular season. So lots of opportunities here. It should be a great weekend to watch hockey.
Yeah, this is a big one. You mentioned where they were in the media polls. Right now in the pairwise rankings, DU is sitting in 7th place. So an important series, and it would be huge if UNO could go out there and have some success. So we'll be excited to see what happens. Friday's game will be at 8 p.m. Central Time, so 8 p.m. Omaha time. And Saturday's game will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. Both of those games will be at Magness Arena.
For more Cowbell Country weekend.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday they have on their official schedule listed as more Cowbell Country weekend. We don't know what that means.
I asked the DU Twitter, they didn't respond.
God, gotta ask those questions. I'm telling you, because we want to know if they're going to be giving out cowbells to the DU fans,
cowboy hats. Who knows?
Cowboy hats. Who knows? Those students out there at Magness might be ringing cowbells all weekend. If you want to listen to the games, you can do so here locally in Omaha on 1290 Coil or online anywhere on the Varsity Network app. Mike Valancourt and Terry Leahy will, of course, have the call. And Friday and Saturday's games will both be airing on NCHC TV. So if you're not subscribed, get signed up. And of course, be sure to follow Mavpuck on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find links to all of our social channels, as well as back episodes of this podcast on mavpuck.com. But until next time, Bridge, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.